Who were you before you lost your wild self?
That's what we're helping you explore on the Tend Her Wild podcast.
Through questions and tools around how best to listen to your inner voice,
rewild ourselves, and live the most authentic life where we thrive instead of survive.
I'm Betsy.
And I'm Kate.
And we're so glad you've joined us for this episode. Hello, Tend Her Wild podcast listeners. We are here today with a very special guest that I literally just met yesterday. And as soon as I met her, I'm like, oh, we need to talk to you. So we're going to tell the story of that. But let me first tell you who this person is. Kristin Hanggi is a theater, television, and film director, as well as a passionate multi-hyphenate. I love that phrase, by the way. She's a writer, a producer, a creative guide, an artist, and a poet. And she's best known for directing and developing the smash hit Rock of Ages. That was on Broadway. It received 5 Tony Award nominations, including a nomination for Best Direction. She also has a book out that I tried to download last night and I couldn't get it, but it's on my list. God, Sex, and Musical Theater. 3 of my favorite things, by the way.
That's what I always say.
I know. So I was like, that book is going to be on in my shelf here soon. So welcome, Kristin.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
No,
so happy. Okay, so we got to start out with the story because I'm still sort of reeling from how this happened. Okay, so 2 months ago, a yoga student of mine reminded me of a podcast called The Robcast, which I had listened to a lot in the past. And the student of mine sent me 3 episodes that he said, you have to hear these 3 episodes. One of them was on the heroine's journey. And Rob was interviewing you, Kristin Hanggi, about it. At the same time, I'm teaching a 14-week course on the heroine's journey to 50 people. So like I'm in it. And the way you described the heroine's journey, I was blown away by because it was a perspective I hadn't found yet. And I sent that podcast on to everyone in my course. And I tried to find you. I tried to find you on social media. I was like, I need to talk to this woman. I want her on our podcast. I want to learn from her. And I had the spelling of your name incorrect, so I couldn't find you. Until yesterday, 9 o'clock, I'm starting to teach yoga. This beautiful woman walks into the studio that I've never seen right at 9 o'clock. So we're just getting going. So I get up, get you a mat, get you props. You take the class. We start chatting afterwards. I'm like, where are you from? I'm from New York. And boom, you're Kristin Hanggi. You're the one that I wanted to meet 2 months ago and find. And you literally walked into my life. And I'm still like reeling from this and the synchronicity and the beauty of how this all works. So thank you for coming into the studio yesterday.
It's so wild. I felt it the moment I walked in. I just felt your energy and I was like, whoa. Yeah, I am feeling this woman. And I was really taken with you as a teacher. And so I was excited to talk to you afterwards. And then it was just like magic, magic, magic. All the
magic. Yeah. And then she showed up today for this podcast. And we've been talking about more things that were like synchronicity. So it's just how life works. And it's so beautiful.
And I think somewhere we know that life is magic and we've experienced it. And sometimes in different parts of our lives, it feels like little bits of it. But the reason I love the heroine's journey is it kind of teaches that there is a deep wisdom to even the parts that feel painful. That too is magic. And I think that I needed the medicine of that when I found the heroine's journey. And so that was a very helpful guide for me.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, we always like to start, Kristin, with telling us about your first 10 years.
Yeah.
Every guest we ask.
We have learned that there's these through lines, beautiful through lines with people's upbringing and early experiences, and maybe when their gifts are the most in full force.
Sure.
As young people, we have them then. So can you tell us a little bit about your first few years and what you experienced?
So I grew up in Southern California. My parents were school teachers. Interestingly enough, oh, I thought I might tell this story. My mom always tells the story of the night that I was born, and my dad was at a writer's retreat, which also is very telling that he was not practicing as a writer, but wanting to. So he was at a writer's retreat the night she went into contractions. And my mom had a glass of red wine, which I think was really telling of like who I would be in the world, and watched Laverne and Shirley in the bathtub.
Oh my God.
And they, as they were both going towards the hospital, my mom said she saw some sort of like meteorite. How do you say that word?
Meteorite. Yeah. Yeah.
Comet, like
Yeah.
in the sky, and my dad saw it too. So my mom would always tell me the story of like this kind of like announcing of my birth, which I also think made me feel as a little kid of like there's something I'm here to do,
Yeah.
right? Or a feeling of purpose. Yeah. And whether or not both my parents are just really good storytellers, it worked. But also that same year I was born, they were in Northern California at that time. My dad had to file bankruptcy. He had a split with a partner in a business that was very successful. So he went from suddenly feeling very successful, very like I'm providing for my family, to all of a sudden having to file bankruptcy, and they had to move south. So I think my childhood had the imprint of my dad's shame for that.
Yeah.
So
Carrying the masculine shame.
the masculine shame of if only I had been smarter, if only I had seen it coming. And it was a really painful wound for him because he didn't have a father, and this business partner was like an older father figure. And the older father figure, not only did he like my dad felt very betrayed in what happened, and he vanished. So it wasn't just the business partnership, it was the relationship.
Right. That was formidable for him.
It was really formidable. And so when I was a child, I could feel my dad's pain, and I could feel his shame, and I could feel his anger at himself, which would come out. So my dad had this very gregarious, very fun-loving, very mischievous, very silly storyteller in him. And then when I was young, he was really wrestling with a lot of not knowing what to do with his anger, and having a lot of like feeling of self-doubt, self-worth issues. And I could feel them very palpably in the house, like almost like, what's up with dad? Like, and I remember that feeling of going, I'm right here. Well, here, he's right here.
Yeah.
Right here, you know? So he started over, and went back to school when I was a child. And he used to take me to class with him. And I was like supposedly a very well-behaved baby but he would take, and he started studying English, which is what he really loved, even though what he was doing before that was not that. But I think I grew up with a dad who always, so both my parents were teachers, really good teachers, but he really wanted to be a writer. But I was very influenced by his love of literature and his desire to tell stories. And my mom, I always say that my mom is like, imagine like Goldie Hawn, Doris Day, and Betty White, like in
wow.
She's like, she's so little and she's so bright and she's so playful, and she's a great teacher and very sunshiny. And so my mom kind of, I think, taught me about whimsy and play. But my mom did not know how to stand up to my dad's anger, and she didn't know how to set boundaries, and she didn't know how to own her voice, which I later like really understood of like, oh, well, She was like in the 50s.
That was the feminine wound, right?
Like
no voice.
Who taught her how to own her power?
Nobody.
No one, you know? And yet she was like the first in her family to ever get her master's degree. Like she had a first husband who had left after she had had my older brother, and she totally like reinvented herself. She started a school. She like just like 9 lives, like can't keep me down. I'll figure out how to keep going on, you know? So she has this really powerful spirit in her, even though she seems like very sweet and very playful. Like there's like a fighter warrior in her.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents, when they came together, they like kind of made a decision that they weren't going to leave the family, that they were going to like stay together and like figure it out, because they both had felt kind of abandoned a little bit. Like my mom was sent to boarding school, and my dad was sent to live with his aunt and uncle. So they like made a pact, like we will stay.
Wow. How'd that work out?
Well, I think they didn't necessarily have tools. They had like desire.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of love, but there were like tools they were figuring out. But they did stay together until my dad passed away 2 years ago. But I do think when I was growing up, I think my mom would have been an actress had she gotten
She was Doris Day and Betty White together.
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn.
So cute, so playful, so fun. Like, but her father had told her that respectable women aren't actresses, and that you could be a nurse or a teacher. Those are
the
available.
options.
That's your list.
Yeah, here's your list. You can be one of these things. So, she chose a teacher. So both my parents, I think, used their natural artist selves in what they did to teach. And I think what I was interested, they really encouraged the artist in me. Like they definitely said, you like follow your dreams was definitely a message in the house.
Powerful.
And also at the like kitchen table, they talked about how do you create an atmosphere where there is wonder and a student wants to learn because of their own curiosity. So they really encouraged seeing the beauty and individuality in each student and creating a place where learning happens spontaneously. So they were both really interested in that, even though I would say both had their wounds they didn't know what to do with. Right. You know what I mean? Like great people, but with wounds they did not understand.
Yeah. And wounds that impacted you. And yet you can also see they were doing the best they could
the best.
with all that they had.
I actually think they did like a great
Even
job.
more than the best.
Yeah. Looking back, and I know growing up, I had some sadness about, my dad, because I didn't know what was wrong.
And why he was sad.
Or why he was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then it probably wasn't until later that I realized, oh, my mom never modeled for me what it is to stand up for yourself or to set boundaries. So it wasn't until I was probably like in my 20s that I realized like, oh, how come I never learned that? Oh, you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So
I relate to that
me
too.
too.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I think like definitely who I was to become was formulated in that time. Yeah, I do feel like the product of those two people.
You bet. And how magical that they encouraged the artist in you, because I think of how many people have that in them, and it gets snuffed out because you're supposed to be a lawyer or a doctor, or you're supposed to follow a business path. And so people put that aside, and then they miss it their whole life.
That's so true. And I think both of them wanted that kind of encouragement, so they gave what they didn't have
to you.
To me.
Yes.
And I was also because I was raised in Southern California, I have a big extended family. And they're very kind of like non-denominational Christian. So it's like Christian, but it's not like in a sect. But there was lots of, Orange County Christianity around. And it was interesting because my mom had this like beautiful, pure belief in the goodness of the world, and she loves to love people. Like her love is so pure. Like if she was here, she would want to like hug you both and hear about your lives and maybe like make you something and see if you need anything. Like and it's so pure. It's so real. Yeah. And then, so she really modeled for me like going to church. And as a little kid, like I just love to go and sing songs. And I love to memorize Bible verses because they give me chocolate. And so and my mom says that when I was a little kid, I used to always say to her, Mom, don't worry about anything, but pray
About everything.
You know, like I would just say it on repeat and she'd be like, okay, okay. And my dad was always like the skeptic who like didn't necessarily wanted to go to church and like and was suspicious of people who stood up front and said they had the answers. And I think both of those things live in me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can almost see a combination of these two people and kind of how
You can tell she's a storyteller. She
know.
paints such a pure picture of, I'm like, I am there with her. I see it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you've done so much with your life, but I'd love to know how the director piece became your path. And if you know, because I'm just learning about you. I mean, we've never had a guest where I had less time to be like, oh my God.
The perfectionist in both Kate and I were like, oh
like,
no,
I
we
wanna
don't get
learn
to
about
read all
her.
this stuff. But
I said to you this morning, I'm like, we're letting it unfold. And what a better person to tell us your story than a director who is all about
this is her
telling
thing.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just feel like I'm just going to absorb and learn. And I want to know how you got on this path to directing.
So I like to play pretend. I
Okay.
think it's really fun. And if you were my neighbors when I was a little kid, I would have said, come over to my house, bring something that can be a cape, something that can be a crown. We're going to put on a show, and then we're going to charge our parents money to watch it.
Even better.
Yeah. And I had a little brother who would let me like put him in costumes and put on makeup on him and let's learn a song and we'll perform it.
Is he an actor, by the way, at this point?
He did go to school for acting.
Did
Yes.
he?
Yes. And he's quite the healer as well. And so when I was growing up, I just thought it was so fun. And I love to watch TV and I like to watch movies. And I thought storytelling was really fun. And I was just like, oh yeah, well, duh, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. And when I was, you know, in high school, I was like the drama girl that was like in all the plays. I remember going to my high school and meeting the drama kids on my freshman day and being like, there are people like me in the world. I'm not that weird. And it just was the most fun thing to do. So I like to do the most fun thing to do. And then when I was in undergrad at UCLA, I was a theater major. And I remember taking two classes my sophomore year. I took playwriting and I took history of rock and roll. And in my playwriting class, they said, okay, we're going to write a play. And in my history of rock and roll class, I read an essay about Elvis's effect on lesbian culture. And I was like, interesting. And so the first play I ever wrote was about a girl coming to terms with her sexuality through Elvis coming out of a poster on her bedroom wall. And she would like have this relationship with him where he helped her figure out her sexuality.
Oh,
Amazing.
I love that. So that's like, so, and then I just was like, so all my professors were like, do you know that you're a director? Like, that's what you are. You're a director. And I was like, I am. And to be honest, I think around that time I thought, oh, only men are directors. I really had that in my head.
But that's still kind of the case today, isn't it?
Only like, I think somewhere between 11 to 14% of all films are made by women.
Yeah.
And if you want me to get me on my soapbox, I will tell you about how when movies first started, it was a really female thing. They would write, they would direct, they would produce. But when sound came in, the banks came in to help build studios. And at that point,
The money. Capitalism.
And they systematically kept women out of the DGA for a long period of time. It was not till the 1970s when it was even noticed that this disparity was created. But what that means is that our cultural stories have been told by cis white men, which means the values of those people are the stories that went out and fed the world. So our consciousness, the globe's consciousness, is fed by its stories. And so that's why it's important that women and people of color tell their stories and we
Absolutely.
empower them to tell their stories.
Mm. Well, we were talking before we started, and it cemented something that I never really thought about is that the artist is the healer and has the power to shift consciousness. So these movies and these TV shows that become wildly successful that everyone watches, it's literally shaping the consciousness of the people viewing it. And so going forward, we need to really shift some consciousness, and that can come through the arts. And what I'm hearing from you, it's got to come through the voice of women and the voice of the minority, because we need to sort of shift this very white patriarchal system that we've all been living in and not even really fully knowing.
Yeah,
Right.
and if you look at the stats on how often women talk in the best pictures, the ones that have won the Oscars for like, they think they did it on like the last 20
Yeah.
years. And if you just look at the chart, it's sad in
Mm.
terms of having a voice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And so it just feels like, you and I were talking before about the exciting thing about when artists tell their stories, that we get that in our bodies. So one of the first things I did, like right out of grad school, was a musical called Bear, Bare. And it was about two boys in love, and they went to a Catholic boarding school.
Mm.
And the
What year was this?
Yeah.
98.
Ooh, you were ahead of your
Cutting
time.
edge.
You really were.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the gift of the universe. All I knew for myself is that gay men showed me what love and community was,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because I love the
Especially
theater,
in the 90s too, right? They
right?
were really coming together.
Yeah, so I got some
Yeah.
great modeling of that kind of love and that kind of nurturing that I actually really desired to have from older male presence in my life, and to be a girl that felt like kind of chubby with big hair and like my teeth were everywhere, and for them to like also make me feel like I was beautiful and that my whimsy was delicious,
They loved it.
and that like theatricality is fun. And so I always felt like such a deep connection with that community. So when that show came along, it also was looking at religion and how religion can be used as a tool of shame sometimes.
Mhm.
And what happens in this story is these two boys, and one gets the message from the nun that if you hide from yourself, be someone else for someone else's sake, that would be the greatest mistake. And she sings a song called God Don't Make No Trash to him.
Oh.
And then the other boy goes to the priest and who tells him that it's not okay
Mm.
and that it's a sin and that that it's against the church.
Yeah.
And then that boy ends up taking his life at the end of the
I was
show.
just
wow.
gonna say, I know where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we did this musical, and that was the show that really kind of like also jump-started my career. And when my dad saw it, he said, "I want you to know your show changed the way that I vote."
Oh my gosh.
So I got to feel how art can
Impactful.
can make a change in the people you love.
Oh.
So that show went on and got licensed. So there's been hundreds of productions all over the world in all these different languages, so that young people would start coming up to me and going, that show helped me through high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
That show helped me heal my relationship with my mom. So I started to see,
Power you
yeah,
had
the
to
power,
heal.
the power that stories have to
Yeah.
heal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like you and I were talking before, I really believe there's a spirit that's inside each story that is healing me as I work on it. And that there's like a medicine in it.
Yeah.
And the story does its work on the creators, and then it can do its work.
Ripples
Yeah.
out.
It's like that Liz Gilbert idea from
Yeah.
her book that
Big
she
magic.
just like pulls the idea down from the
Yep.
cosmos and then puts it out there. But if she doesn't pull it down, someone else is going to pull it down. So like,
That's right. So
yeah.
in my 20s, I was telling you, I started helping writers get like unstuck or unblocked, because in the nature of like the film and television and theater business, sometimes the show is going and then sometimes it loses its funding.
Yeah.
Sometimes the film is being fast tracked and then you hear, nope, the president of the studio got fired, and that's
So you
not
need a
happening.
side hustle?
So I developed a side hustle, and I started to learn kind of about the magic of story and how it works on a person, and I could feel that it wants to do its work through us.
Yeah.
And like, what is it?
Chooses us.
It chooses us.
Mm-hmm.
And then our job is to like let it move through us. And then how to like open the channel, how to tune in and listen, and how to let it flow. And that has been like another joy of my life, is to like learn it through teaching it.
And do you think that that story that's coming in from the great beyond, it's choosing who it's coming through because whatever is in that story is what you need for your highest healing. So like, how were you healed through Bear? How were you healed through Rock of Ages, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen for you? Like,
Yeah, what great questions. Oh, I will get emotional. Okay, so I think with Bear, I did have some religious trauma around my sexuality. Do you know? I feel like, well, I think I just felt like it wasn't okay to be sexual, just at all.
Yeah. Shame and guilt.
I had that too.
Yeah. And I think when I got to college, like the first time I had sex, I was like there was something inside
It
me
awoke.
that was like, this is awesome. I love this. And then like, this is not okay. I am not a good girl. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And I ended up putting on a bunch of weight in college. And I really think looking back, it was because
Protection.
Yep.
I was afraid.
Yeah.
Afraid of like this thing inside of me that
feeling and sensuality and pleasure and joy and
Exactly.
expansion.
Being desired. It's
Being
like,
desired.
just like keep yourself.
Yourself.
keep myself like off the market. Yeah, exactly right. And then also this idea of trying to be someone else for someone else's sake, like that it maybe who I was born to be is actually beautiful, who I innately am is beautiful, and I don't need to like contort or try to like fit into an acceptable box. That I could just maybe investigate who is this person that is alive inside of me, what is the spirit, and like and also it helped me open up the box to, well, what is out there?
Right.
What is this mystery? What is this ineffable presence?
Yeah.
And if what I was taught growing up isn't exactly right, because I feel in my body that doesn't
Might
feel
not be.
exactly right, so then what is it?
Yeah.
And so that sent me on a hunt of discovery. And then that hunt felt really juicy and exciting.
And that was your late 20s?
That was my early to mid 20s, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is supposed to be the time I've been reading a lot about, that defining decade of their 20s.
Yeah.
And this idea that is really, we push kids into deciding what you want to be, get on the path, go to
Find your
work.
person.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Buy the house, all that stuff. And I think, I mean, I have two kids in their 20s right now, almost 3. And I'm like, explore, try things, don't get married, like just travel, like, and they are kind of already doing those things, but that's not what our message was back then.
No
So
way.
we were already, I feel like you were kind of avant-garde back then by being like, I'm going to experiment and try things and not feel like I have to be on this traditional path.
Yeah. It actually felt like I couldn't be on the traditional path if I wanted to. I always felt so left of center.
Your soul was like,
Nope, can't do
like
it.
your mom, it was teacher or nurse. And you're like, wait a second. Neither of those are working for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Dr. Yoga Mama, which is all the many offerings I have blending psychological science with the ancient wisdom of yoga and mindfulness. Join me for a yoga class, a meditation weekend, an online course, Wisdom Wednesday, which is the first Wednesday of every month, or maybe even an international retreat like Greece in the fall of 2025. By providing spaces and experiences for people to look inward, it is my great honor to watch people become the change they wish to see in the world.
This podcast is being sponsored by Kate Moreland Coaching. As a transformational coach and an advocate for authenticity and well-being, I work to support individuals and organizations navigating challenging times. Whether you are an individual, a leader, or an organization, your creative power lies in your authenticity. Doing the work to understand your strengths and acknowledge the patterns and rocks that are in your way is the path to well-being. Whether it's your career or your relationship with yourself or others, transformational change begins within. To learn more, reach out to me at katemorelandcoaching.com.
And then I think when Rock of Ages came along,
did you write it?
I helped
conceive it
and developed it, right? So I had done, so after Bear, so these agents who represented a choreographer named Robin Anton said, our client has a show called Pussycat Dolls. It's like a little dance show at the Viper Room, and they'd like to make it a much bigger show. Could you come help her turn it into a show? And so I was like, yeah. And so we put on this big old show at the Roxy, which is a club on the Sunset Strip, like an iconic club. And it was this big dance show. And Robin was so connected inside the industry. She got Christina Applegate, Charlize Theron, Christina Aguilera, Gwen Stefani, Nika Costa, Carmen Electra, like all these women to be a part of this spectacular kind of event. And what it meant for me, it was really interesting as we talk about the feminine, is I was really scared of my feminine at the time. So if you saw me then, I was like really in my tomboy phase.
Yep.
Like hair in the pony, I'm in the sweats. I'm like, I'm the director. I have no sexuality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm surrounded by like 40
ultra feminine
women. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Okay, maybe I like this.
Did it help heal your feminine?
It did help heal
yeah.
my feminine. It really helped me heal my feminine. So the spiritual seeking I was doing at that time, in combination with like being around these women really owning their feminine and their sexuality, really, really transformed me.
That.
And which was very interesting because I ended up the kind of, it was a lot to do with my spiritual healing. The weight fell off pretty quickly. And once it did, I suddenly found that I was looked at differently and not in a way that was helpful for my directing career. So there was So I found that when I was like more like tomboy and kind of masculine, the people would look me in the eye more.
Shut up.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember there was a filmmaker who went to USC, great filmmaker. She said, oh, whenever I pitch, I wear glasses. Just in order not
thinking
to be,
of Tina Fey right now.
Not to be attractive,
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I
smart.
It actually, it was shocking to me because I had always grown up being a smart girl. So suddenly to be a pretty girl, I was like, wait, is this what every woman feels like? This is horrible. Oh my gosh. I felt angry for all women that like, oh wait, suddenly if you are like presenting in a certain kind of way that people don't want to think you're smart.
Or don't take you seriously or take you as a sex object or what. Yeah.
I mean, blew my mind.
Yeah.
But being at the Sunset Strip, I started to hear a lot of people's stories of who came to LA and had dreams in mind, who like also made their dreams come true. Because there was a ton of gorgeous girls around, we also had a ton of rock stars who'd come in. So here I am, I'm like 24, 25, I think I was 24. And we would have like, I remember Dave Navarro coming in because he was dating Carmen Electra and Kid Rock coming in. Like but they would tell me their stories of, I remember the first time I played here, this is what it was like. And then there was like the bar back there,
so that's where
the waitress, the manager, and I filed in my head of like, oh, this would make a great setting for a musical. Yeah. And then I went to go do Bear in New York. It was supposed to, so it did open in New York off Broadway and it was supposed to transfer. And right before the big transfer, it was like on the marquee, the costumes are in the dressing room. Like there are huge posters all over New York City, right? I'm now like 26. I think all my dreams are coming true. And then we get a phone call that the funding got plugged.
Oh my God.
It's not happening. the same weekend I was dating someone I was crazy over, and he breaks up with me the same weekend.
Of course.
Because
That's how it goes.
yeah,
That's how it goes.
Crying in New York City. My heart is broken. And I get a call from a producer who says, we think we can get the rights to some 80s music. When you're back in LA, come in, let's have a meeting. And everyone says, well, like, when God shuts a door, he opens a window.
Beautiful.
But I was
beautiful. No,
beautiful. No, I was so heartbroken. But I went back and I said, what if we put it in a club on the Sunset Strip? And he said, okay, go find a writer.
oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that just pivoted you to what you were meant to do in some ways. Like it was like that opening.
Yeah, in a different way.
Yeah.
But what I couldn't see then was that I was so focused on success, and I was equating my worth with being successful. And so that not happening was actually a great thing, because the kind of like deep message of Rock of Ages is, the Sherry and Drew come out there to make their dreams come true. But instead of making their dreams come true, they find each other, they find love. And there's this whole of like, what's really going to make you happy? And so I think it has taken me a long time to go, instead of just chasing the dream, like the dream is a great pointer. It's a great indicator of the direction to move in. And I'm a big believer of move in the direction of your vision, and also tap into your heart of the thing that makes you feel the most alive. Right. So I think it took me a long time not to be fixated on the outer world and the approval and validation of the outer world.
The external
And
validation.
that's the heroine's journey, right? Because the hero's journey is into the external world and the success and the money and the power and the fame and all of that. And the heroine's journey is the internal journey into yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's maybe when it started to shift for you.
Yeah. And I think it really started to shift after Rock of Ages.
Okay.
So Rock of Ages becomes this like international, worldwide.
Yeah.
Like I go all over.
How many years were you involved in that big
forever.
project?
Like we started, first meeting was in December of 2024. It opened on Broadway in April of 2009. There's 5 productions in between there. Then there was productions all over the world. So it was on Broadway. It's one of the longest running, from 2009 to did we close either at the end of 2014 or the beginning? Anyways, it was 6 years on Broadway, and then all these other
And then you were in the West End too.
in the West End. But like it continued to like affect my life, where there'd be like a production to go check on, a thing to go do, and so I would say there was like a good 15 years of my life, like
15
Wow.
years
like
dedicated to this.
right, like where it was just like very in my everyday. And I often say that, like, I know it's different, but that like raising a project has things in common with raising a child.
Yeah.
Because you do have to let it go, and you can't equate its worth with yours, and you have to let it be what it is meant to be, and you have to let go, and
Yep.
there's a lot of similar lessons.
Yeah. We just talked with a woman this morning about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's
The
a
raising
point-
of a project.
Yeah, you create something, you build something, and then there's a time when you have to let it stand on its own,
You
let
have
the
to let it go.
energy of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Mm.
So, but also around the same time, around 2014, I had been always doing my side hustle of like this kind of
Coaching people. And
and I got a really strong vision, and I work from visions. Like I feel like if I get a vision, it's instructions, and I have to do it, even if I feel resistant about it. To start just talking to people about creativity and how it's a spiritual process. And so my friend Natalie and we started like holding workshops and seminars about it, and also started a podcast. And that felt very like purposeful work, but also very scary, because at the time I was like, am I going to look too woo woo? Am I going to like, are people not going to hire me because I'm going to think they're going to think I'm the weird
talking about this weird stuff on a podcast. So we know that. We know that.
And so that part was really identity shifting, because I had to move through and get to that place. And thank goodness for maturing of like, people are going to say whatever they want to say.
right.
I got to let people do what they do.
I'm not for everyone.
I'm not for everyone, and that's okay.
That's
and
what I say.
and I have to learn how to be true to myself.
Yeah.
And if people think I'm a little weird, it's okay because I'm a little weird, But like, I love the woo, and I can't not love the woo. And I really believe it's alive and everything, especially, and our creativity, I believe, is magical, and I've lived it. Throughout that time. Also, I'm like kind of skipping over some stuff, but I made films, and making films was also a really wonderful thing. But each one had like a lesson and something I felt like it came to teach me. And let's see. And then eventually, as we got closer to the pandemic time, like I would say about 2018, 2019, I just felt like things were not working. There was some big, like, oh, obviously, like, I felt like
inside you,
the gears were clunked up. And while there was also beautiful opening, beautiful exploration, a lot more emphasis on fun at that time in my life leading up to those years, like, I think there were things inside of me that became more free than they'd ever been.
During the pandemic.
Oh, but before the pandemic.
Before the
like
pandemic,
leading up to those years, And in that time is when I did the off-Broadway version of Accidentally Brave.
Yeah, I saw that it was a play.
Yeah, first, yes. And we could talk more about that and go into that process. But I would say getting success, I mean, even the traditional routes of being successful were not working for me. And that's what I mean about the gears. I was like,
were you also, by the way, middle-aged?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens, I think. We reach our middle age and life as we know it doesn't work. The masculine path doesn't work because I think Kate and I have the same story. Yeah. We found success by being smart and going after the grades and getting the job and all these traditional masculine patriarchal systems. And then you reach middle age and you're like, oh, it's
like
not working.
It was like around age 40.
Like that spiritual aridity that Maureen Murdoch talks about.
Totally. Yeah. And about that time, because I was teaching writing all the time, I found the heroine's journey and I started teaching it. And I'm teaching the heroine's journey in my work I'm doing with writers. At the same time, I'm working on Accidentally Brave, which is the heroine's journey.
I was going to say that is absolutely the heroine's journey.
Right. So it was like, life was like, da, 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 da. We got something for you.
How did you get, so let's just say it's out on HBO Max right now. You can watch Max. Accidentally Brave. It's a one-woman show.
Yeah.
How did that come to you?
Sure. Oh, this is a really fun story. Okay, so Maddie Corman is awesome. She is like my sister. I have a musical that's called It's All Your Fault, Tyler Price, which is about a family that has a little girl that has epilepsy and learning related difficulties. And I had done our first workshop for that one when Maddie's daughter was middle school aged. And I cast Maddie's daughter as the young girl in the musical. And Maddie came, and it was like when I met you for the first time, I saw her and I was like, I love her.
I know her somehow. I don't know why, but I do.
And Maddie was an actress, so she was pretty well known. Like if you see her, you're like, oh yeah, she's been in everything, like one of those faces. And I cast her in a film I was doing called Dear Dumb Diary. It was like a middle school musical film. And she came to Utah where we shot it. And we had so much fun and I loved getting to know her that I cast her in the next film I directed called Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List. And she was the mom in that. I was just like taken with her. Yeah. You know, you have like a girl crush and you're just like, I just want to be around her. I want to hang out with her. I was working on another musical called Hollywood Romance and Maddie was in that too. So I started to just spend a lot of my time with her and I just loved being around her. And then suddenly it hit the trades that her husband had been arrested. And I was like, oh. And my heart just broke for her. And something else that happened around the time that Rock of Ages went to Broadway is I had been dating someone who eventually revealed to me that he had a sex addiction. We kind of discovered it together. So at that moment in the Rock of Ages part of my story, like the best thing in my life was happening, as also like I was going through the worst time.
Yeah, the high and the low.
And that, took me into like 12-step groups for people that love people that have addictions. And so I had spent some time in that world. And so this is now years later, right? So this is now like 7 years later when this happens. But I reach out to a mutual friend who's very close to Maddie, and I said, "Do you think it would be okay if I just let her know I'm thinking about her and that I have some experience in this world?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think she'd like to hear from you."
You're the friend.
No, a friend, not not the friend from the
show.
Yeah,
I kind of wondered that.
No. That friend is really
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, is that her or not?
There's an angel in Accidentally Brave, and you don't know who the angel is, but and that's a very famous person.
Okay.
And so Maddie and I start talking, and so we're in contact, and I just know she's going through emotional triage at this time. And then I'm in a yoga class. One day, and I'm like going through the poses, and it literally downloads.
As things often do.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, Maddie's going to write a one-woman show. Oh, I'm going to direct it. Oh, it's going to go off Broadway. Oh, and there's going to be a film version of it. Like I saw it all like this.
Yep.
Wow.
That much. Like I caught the whole vision.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay.
All right, I got my assignment. And about 3 weeks later, Maddie called me and she said, I've been writing. And I said, I know, I got the vision. And then
chills
I
too.
love how these things work. You're like a magic magnet too. I feel like
you're magnetic.
Yeah, there's something about you that just pulls these beautiful synchronicities in.
And you like pull I feel like you're a magnet for like this story must be told.
Yeah.
And in the storytelling is the healing. And just like you said, the medicine works on me and then it will work on others.
Yeah.
Which I just want to say as a director feels like the most feminine way to direct.
Thank you.
And so you were feeling all this misalignment because it was such a masculine world, but you've just figured out how to make it feminine.
And I have been like fired for not being authoritative enough in the room. So there are these like these things that were coming through me were not accepted easily.
Sure. And they rarely are, right?
In the corporate commercial world.
Yeah.
So, that's also something that was like surprising of like, oh, you don't want to try out this idea that it comes through the community. Like,
right.
That there can be no hierarchy in this room and we can feel our way into it. That doesn't sound like a good idea to you.
And I think that happens a lot to women that are in traditional
masculine roles.
It's like and then middle age, just the alignment becomes so great that
and we go through menopause and we get our voice and we're like, I'm just gonna speak it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have the gift of like going through the change in this time of life.
Yeah.
Oh
We
man.
get to finally have a voice.
Yeah. We get to know who we are. We get to not give any fucks.
Powerful.
right.
Really powerful.
Yeah. Okay, tell us why you're here in Iowa City right now, because we want to let all of our guests know what's going on, that you're involved with, that we want everyone to go see this.
Thank you so much. Okay, so there's a play called We'll Get Back to You by Rob Bell. So Rob Bell, I love Rob's story. He was like a mega church pastor who started speaking his truth honestly.
Didn't he say that there was no hell and it kind of shut things down?
You're out.
Yeah,
You're like, see ya, bye.
And I feel like his work has been so transformational for America.
I agree.
Of being able to question and look at what we believe. And I would listen to his podcast and I would be like, that's my brother. I just feel like he's my brother in my heart. And then we were introduced and he came on our podcast. And then he's like, now you come on my podcast. And then he's like, I wrote a play. Can I send it to you? And I'm like, absolutely. And so we started working on plays together. And I love this one because it is about the workplace. So, this idea, I think we can all feel that there are certain things in corporate culture and in capitalism that aren't quite working for us as humans.
Correct.
No.
And his show is a comedy and it's very, very funny. But I think that tagline somewhere says, for anyone who's ever had to go to work. and how to interact and be with people. And also I think it's about how to build foundations that are sustainable because they acknowledge our humanity. I was so in love with his play, and there is a female protagonist, and it was like watching him as a playwright he was taking a lot of the theories he's been talking about for years and dramatizing them. And it felt really exciting to me to, okay, let's stage it. I think he's a great parable teller.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I love that he was telling in all of his podcasts early on parables from the Bible.
Yeah.
And now he's telling his own parables, right?
Yes.
He's like transitioned into speaking his own versus relying on.
He's still a pastor.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
He's just changed the definition.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To fit authentically him.
That's exactly right.
And the times.
And to stand next to him as he's gone through that transition has been so powerful and so exciting. And so, yeah, I'm thrilled about this play. We're having such a great time. I have loved being in Iowa. The people are amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Iowa City.
Iowa City.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I always like
so,
to clarify that.
it's so artistic here.
It is.
There's so many wonderful people. But I also realized I think this is the right message for this place and this community. But I also like the idea of growing new plays and productions here. Definitely something that I experience in New York is that there can be so much pressure because everything is so expensive that sometimes it's hard to play because there is a lot of pressure for things to be successful.
Yeah.
And to be here and go, oh, we can just
gonna have fun.
experiment and have fun. And there's also great artists here and we can collaborate and it's really joyful. So I've had an incredible time making art here. And I'm excited for people to come see it.
We're excited to come.
So it's at the James and it starts this coming Friday.
This Friday.
Fourth, so it would be April 4th and it runs for 2 weeks.
Yep, that's right. And there's talkbacks with me and Rob on Friday and Saturday. On Saturday during the day, Rob is doing a workshop.
I'm going.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm signed up.
And then on Sunday, I'm doing the talk back after the show on Sunday. And then I head out on Monday.
Oh, okay. We got to go.
Yeah, so we're going to put that in the show notes for ways that people can find tickets. So if y'all are listening and you live around this area, come out and meet Kristin in person and come see this amazing show. I'm so excited to see it.
I'm so excited. And I feel like we didn't even get to fully dive into the heroine's journey.
Well, I think we have to have you back.
I think we might.
Can we do it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Thank you
there's
so much.
so much richness in that. And I love to dive in from your perspective. And
Yeah. And the next musical I'm
tell us
working
about
on
this. Tell us.
is based on my poetry book. So I did this poetry book in the pandemic called God, Sex, Musical Theater. And
I love that so much.
we have turned it into a musical, and it is taking the audience through Maureen Murdoch's heroine's journey.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
With music by Katie Tunstall.
When does this happen? When does this?
Well, we're in the process right now of developing it. I mean, it really is, I say, a musical for the divine feminine. And in all people. And so you send us all of the positive vibes in the world.
We got lots of those.
And nurture this baby.
That's such an important, that's exactly what these times are calling for.
And as we're talking about the voice that you have, the platform you've built, we can change consciousness. And I do believe we have to introduce people to the divine feminine and that it's in all of us and she's needed right now.
Yeah.
Like she's what's going to save the planet, and we have to find her and bring her out. And so, you're doing it.
I know.
I'm coming to the opening night, wherever it is. I don't care wherever it is. I will be there.
You might have to come
front
to some
row.
workshops.
I'm all about that.
I can't wait to follow all that you're doing.
Yeah.
And the synchronicity, I was reading about your podcast, which I'm now going to start listening to, just how, because we've talked before about having a podcast partner. And it's almost the feminine way to do a podcast, I've decided. Because it's collaborative. It's more creative. It's more about like connection and community. And so I just love, like, you've been doing yours, and there's just something, I was reading some of your titles and I'm like, there's so much connection to the similar things we're talking about, but you're really tapping into people's creativity, which is, again, tapping into their feminine and helping people find that. Which I feel like the circle of your life is really the creativity thread that has been throughout it, which is your
play. I just feel so much play oozing off of you. I'm just like, I want to go play with her. I don't know what we're going to go do. I know.
They're so
great. Oh, I'm excited.
Landed right here, and we normally don't record on Wednesdays, by the way.
But we did because we're like, tomorrow. Yesterday, I was like, can you come tomorrow? Let's do a podcast tomorrow. Yeah. And you said yes.
Yeah. So this was absolutely meant to be.
Okay. You have to tell people your website because I was searching for you and I couldn't find you because I had your name spelling wrong. So tell people where they can find you.
So it's KristinHanggi.com and KristinHanggi. And you can find the links to my book there and to my podcast, Let's Play the Create podcast. And also, if you have a story you want to tell, I have a story space collective for people that are like, oh, I have this story that I need to tell. I need to get out of me. And like those. I nurture people that want to tell their stories, and I help.
And you're a healer in every sense. Like, you're healing individuals and your audiences, and like it's amazing what you're doing. Story is the heal. It is
healing. Absolutely.
And I encourage everyone to watch Accidentally Brave. I'm in the middle of it because I couldn't. I had to go to bed. Finally, Joe's like, we got to go to bed. But it is amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to finish it.
I know.
Then you have to reach out to me, and
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very powerful. So
Kristin, we have a final question that we ask all of our guests. It comes from the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it's about how you became a wild woman. And from your story, you've been a wild woman from day one. But these are the 4 doors that she talks about that you can take to move into your life as a wild woman.
Yeah. So if you have a deep scar, that is a door. If you have an old story, that is a door. If you love the sky and the water so much you can almost not bear it, that is a door. And if you yearn for a deeper life, a full life, a sane life, that is a door.
Or you could make up your own door too, since you are
creative. Is there a door that jumps out at you?
Say all 4 doors for sure. But the 3rd door, I think, resonates the most, of like being so in love with life. Being so in love, like stepping outside and just feeling it. And that desire to commune with it.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you for this beautiful time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Come back and rewild with us again next week.